I go to the action plan. Some of the templates that you're filling out would be something like the growth area and the action plan objective. So a plan is really a container for forms that you're filling out. It's kind of like that overarching title that everything lives underneath. Does that make sense? Mostly? Okay. The more that you're in the system, the more that you'll probably get used to it. From here, you're all probably under my units. Under your units, does everybody see the department in which they work, the department or program? Yep, awesome, wonderful. All right, so this is really, yep. Jesus has it. This is how all of the permissioning works. So you all have access to the department or program that you work within in order to fill out content. That way when they run reports and that they're looking at the information, it's tied to your area of work. So I'll use information technology as an example. If you're from the Office of Information Technology and you're on that organizational unit, all of your data and your information is going to live there, and that's all you really need to worry about. We're going to go in and fill out a template. I'm going to show you how to go in and access a template, and I'm going to use the annual instructional review. So go ahead and navigate to the annual instructional review template. Did everybody get there okay? So I'm in fiscal year 2019, and I drop down the annual instructional review. Okay. From here, you might have some things in the middle depending on if some work has already been done in your area. But from here, let's go to plan item on our right-hand side. And let's click on Instructional Review 2018-2019. So again, on the right-hand side, yep.
Plan item is not opening up.
Okay. Are you, what?
It's saying.
It opens, it's just no
It's under the next.
Yes, I can explain that. For that particular one, and I didn't tell you this, Jenna, sorry.
It's okay. Curveball. Okay.
So you should have one already made for you that so that you can just click on it. It's too. So in your case, you automatically click on that.
Training number one, always getting these tweaks out of the way. So you can just click on one then that's in the middle of your dashboard. And it should now look a little bit like my screen. In the middle of your dashboard, so you'll probably have one that looks similar to this with the blue hyperlink text. So if you don't have one, you can click on plan item, potentially depending on your permissions. I'm going to wait for 1 second here while we all get to the same page. Yep.
So if it's a new program, did you create a starter for that one or not? So they have to start from scratch.
Jesus, if it's a new program, gosh, good thing there's none left in there.
Like IT is a new program.
Yeah.
No,
Not
you're,
anyone in there.
No, probably it's just the one.
So
Yeah, this is the one that you should have. But no, all of you, for this particular one, instructional review, all of you should have one already made for you. So if you're not seeing it right now, you're just not gonna create it.
Right, if you were assigned to do conduct an instructional review for your program, then you should, and the new program should all have been put in there, for the program.
We see it. We just didn't click on the right.
And then-
We're all learning together.
Yeah, and just one thing, so as you go through your template, you're gonna see how the template doesn't have any content because you are gonna have to go in.
Did you have a question? All right, so I'm going to go through the basics of filling out a template, and then Jesus is going to take over from there. So I'm just going to go through a couple of different items here. So first and foremost, as Jesus noted, your form is likely blank. So this is actually what you're going to be filling out. On here, you'll notice you just can click into the boxes and you can start typing. So you're going to go through and you're going to fill out the template. So we're not going to get into the content quite yet and why we're filling out specific fields. But a couple of things that I want to note, there are some drop downs. So you'll notice that there's a status in progress that you can select. There's a date of submission that is going to default to the end of the fiscal year of 19, but you can modify that by using the calendar selector. And then you'll notice that a couple of these are going to have instructional text. So you're going to see that these are all kind of some instructions, some help text, if you will. I'm going to keep scrolling down though. So here's what we call a open-ended text box. So essentially we are going to fill this out based on some of the content that's above. It works like a regular text box. You've probably seen this before. It looks like it's an email or Word. So of course you can do things like formatting, lists, bulleting, bold, italicized. One thing that I do want to go over is that if you are, let's say you have some of this information gathered somewhere else, whether it's an Excel or a Word document or your website or whatever it might be. One thing that I do want to note is that when you come in here, if you're going to paste something, so let's say I'm just going to paste this web address, I'm going to do copy. We want to always be using paste as plain text. From another technical aspect, a lot of different programs carry different code. So if you're copying something from Microsoft Word into our program, it usually works fine. But if you're moving it from a website or something like that that has different code on the background, you can copy it over and it's going to be wonky formatting and potentially have weird spacing. If you paste this plain text, it's going to come over as a really nice a copy. You might have to re-add your bolding if something was bolded, but it will get your content there cleanly. So again, if we're pasting, just make sure you're pasting as plain text. And then I'm going to scroll all the way down to our evidence fields. So might have passed it. Yep. Okay, so in evidence, and you don't have to scroll all the way down with me, but you're welcome to if you'd like to. This might already have an uploaded file within it for your program. It might not. It depends, excuse me. So if it does, don't delete this, just leave it there. This is also where you can upload additional files. So additional pieces of evidence. So you can see add documents that support statements 4 through 6 from spring 17 accreditation visit. And to add something here, works like a normal filing system. We're going to go ahead and click File. And then you can select it from your desktop. And then you can just click Upload. So if you need to add something here as a piece of evidence, this is where you're going to do it. And then one thing that I do want to make sure we go over is, this is something that came up a lot in the past sessions when I was on campus. Everybody gets to the bottom of the page and they're like, where's the save button? How do I save this? It is going to save automatically as you go. It actually does like little green check boxes. So if I start typing, it's very hard to type while holding this microphone. It eventually at the top is going to generate a green checkbox so that you know that it's saving. When you're done, I'm going to take that out though before I save this. When you're done, and you're going to notice that if you see some of these on mine, again, I'm an admin, so you won't see those. From here, there is no save button. So again, if I go back, if I hit the back button or like close out of the browser, it's already saved this content. We put a done button in because everybody really likes the satisfaction of clicking something and be like, it is gonna be there and I know it now. So we did add that in. So I'm gonna go ahead and click done. And you can see the little green checkbox just popped up saying it's auto-saved at this time. So I'm gonna go ahead and click done. If I wanted to see the read view, a read view is just like a clean copy of the template of all the content that I created. This is also something that you can print. So if you filled out one of these templates and let's say you're sharing it with someone in your department that maybe doesn't have access to planning, but you want to have a conversation about it or what have you, you can pull up the read view and you can print. And then one other thing I want to go over is we're probably not going to be deleting anything, but potentially if you added something that you really don't need or you accidentally added a template that you don't need, you are able to use that delete function and delete. So I'll actually delete this one because I need to. And I'm just going to click confirm. And you can see it's removed from my dashboard. So again, The saving piece is always something that gets people, so just know that it is saving as you go and you can hit that done button at the end for your satisfaction, okay? All right, I'm gonna turn it over to Jesus, who's really gonna get into some of the templates and walking you through some of that content. If y'all have questions as we walk through, you can feel free to raise your hand, and myself, I can run around, Debbie can run around, and Marty, we're all here for that purpose, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, just give me 1 second. I'm gonna try something. Let's see if this works. Okay, yeah, I think this is gonna. You know what? No, it's not gonna work. Okay. So you already know the basics in Campus Labs. Now we're gonna talk a little more about the actual templates. So the first template that I want all of us to review would be the program review template. So what I want you all to do is I want you all to go to this this 3 dotted figure that says plans. So please click on that one. And once you do that, you are supposed to see this screen. Now, before we move forward, please all of you make sure that you are working within fiscal year 2019. So if not, if you have, for example, fiscal year 2018, just make sure to click on the drop-down list and change it to 2019. Once you do that, you're gonna have to go to the second drop-down list. So click there and you'll have annual instructional review at the very end. Again, I have more plans than you have just because we are the administrators. So in your case, I think you only have like 4 of them. So you just select annual instructional review, except for Roberta and Denise, they would select annual administrative review. So after you do that, just make sure to select your program. So in this case, I'm gonna go and look for my own program, which it would be planning. So I'm just gonna go and use this to find my own program, or you can also just type the name of your program here and see if the system is able to find it. In this case, here's my program. So I'm just gonna click there. And you should have one form, a instructional form or a administrative form for Roberta in this case. Now, for this particular one, we made the form for you just because we're gonna enter some information for you in there. We're gonna add some data that you're gonna have to use to fill out these forms. So that's why we made this form for you. But for example, in the strategic plan, you are gonna have to create them, and we'll get to talk about that later. So now we're just gonna click into that one. And we're just gonna briefly talk about the structure of the form. So this is the annual instructional review. So first we need to enter the information of the people who are participating in this process. Remember, the more the better. We want everyone to participate in this process. So try to incorporate as much people as you can into this process. So we would enter all this information. Then you would also, once you complete entering the information to this form, you just need to make sure to put in here ready for submission. And also add the date of submission. And I'm just gonna briefly show to you the structure of this template. So pretty much the template is like what you had last year. So at the beginning, you have the data related section. So here's where we are gonna enter or where we are gonna upload for you the data from your program. So you would be able to access to the data here. However, we will get to talk more about this during the data coaching sessions. We have questions related to the data. Then we have strategies that you're gonna build after you analyze the data. You have labor market information. And again, we're gonna upload a report for you in there so that you can analyze and fill out these questions. And there's gonna be data coaching sessions to help you with that section. Just a reminder again, at some point of the sessions, we're gonna get the registration sheets for those data coaching sessions, so we'll let you know once we have them so that you can put your names on them. Then we have the description of the program, something about significant changes and developments. Something very important is that this year we added what we call the evidence fields, and just because we're getting closer to the accreditation mid-cycle visit, we just need to start collecting more evidence about the things that we have done. So you're gonna see how, for example, when you're talking about the highlights of your departments, we're gonna ask you, hey, if you have any sort of evidence about that highlight, let us know. So for example, if an accomplishment of your program this year was that you were able to create a new online course, okay, can you provide us anything that you have about that? Maybe you have the schedule where the new program is now, or you have some sort of minutes where you talk about that, anything that you can provide us and we can use as evidence for the accreditation mid-cycle visit. Now we have more information about your department. In this case, for Roberta and Denise, this is going to be slightly different because you are in administrative unit. And we have something about resources. So here's where you get to talk about how are you doing in terms of resources. We have personnel, professional development, technology. And again, we're not going to get into these specific questions, but if you want to talk about this with more detail, you can come today at 2:30 and we'll talk about this. Or you can, you can come on October 25th, or you can just send us an email and we'll answer your questions. And that's pretty much the program review form. Now, I'm gonna go back so that we can see the strategic plan. So I'm gonna click again on plans. So this three-edged figure. So I'm gonna click there. And I'm gonna go back to my main, to the main screen where I have all my plans. So again, you need to make sure that we are in fiscal year 2019, but instead of being in annual instructional review, I need to be under strategic plan. So if you could all just select the strategic plan so that we can move to that place. Now, once everyone is in that place, you're gonna see how you have items that you already created. Because as we told you, this is not new. This is just you updating the information that you already had in the system. So right here, I can see all my strategic plan related items. I can see my unit goals and my unit objectives. So one recommendation that I have for you is always go all the way down, and here where it says show, just move it from 10 to 100 so that you can have all your contents in the same page.
Are you under institution or my unit, under strategic plan?
I think, can you repeat the question, sir?
Are you under strategic plan, are you
Oh, yeah.
my units or institution?
Oh, it would be the same as long as you get to your own department. So in this case, what I would do is just use the search bar and put the name of your department so that you can find it. Okay, so yeah, just make sure to go all the way down and put show 100. Can we help for you?
Question
Oh.
might be.
Okay, sure.
So you spent a lot of time last year deleting all the goals and you just. So how does that happen? Our top 5 are at the top.
Mm-hmm.
But they're always.
In theory, they shouldn't be there. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna get back to you to see if something is acting weird with that one. Because yeah, if you already deleted them, they shouldn't be there. Okay, now one big change that you're gonna notice is that you don't have, or let me take it back. In the past, all of you used to have unit actions in your strategic plans. So in the past, you had unit goals, unit objectives, and unit actions. So that was very complex to update. So what we decided to do this year is to embed unit actions into unit objectives. So that's why this year you are not gonna have so much, the same amount of items in here. So maybe last year, I used to have like 100 different items here, but now I only have 20. And that is just because we embedded the unit actions into unit objectives so that you don't have to update things in a lot of different places. Okay, and another question that we get a lot is that sometimes people are not finding their unit objectives, for example. So they might tell us, hey, I had this objective last year, but now I'm not able to find it. And that could be just because you had that objective for fiscal year 2018, for example. So maybe you had that particular objective was going to be completed in 2018. So if that happens, you just need to go back to 2018, open the objective, and extend the amount of time that it's going to take to you to complete the action. Okay, so now if you need to create new goals or new objectives, you would go all the way up, and you would use this button that says plan item. So when you do that, you're gonna get different options, and I'm not sure if you'll get all these options. Maybe you're just gonna get the last these two. But if you need, for example, to add a new program unit goal, you would select program unit goal. And once you do that, you'll get a blank item or a blank form where you can enter all of your information. The same goes if you want to add a new program objective. You would go to plan item, then you go to program unit objectives, and then you just fill out all the information. Now, let's just quickly go through the unit goals templates just to remind you what's the structure of that particular form. So if I am in my strategic plan, I can select any of my unit goals. So I'm just going to select this one because it says here unit goal. So you can select any of your unit goals. And once you do that, you're going to see how you have a number for that unit goal, a goal, start date, end date, and pretty much I think that's all you can see. So what we ask you to do is to update, in case you were able to complete that unit goal last year, for example, just make sure to go here and update that information. Or in case you need more time to complete the activity, you can go back here and say, you know, I thought I was going to complete by 2019, but no, this is going to take me all the way to 2021. So those are the changes that we want you to make in Campus Labs. Yes.
This is for Jessica. Is this like this particular program review, welding, HVAC, electronics, plumbing, all the way to
So welding, HVAC, so you have. Yes, so if they're all part of skilled trades, then yes. So you have two programs, you have two programs, you have skilled trades and not. You can see your week on that, but next, program.
Let's stay with it.
So if you wanna.
Okay. All right. Now, this was the unit goal template. We're going to go to the unit objective template. So to do that, you can just click here, and that's going to take you back. So we click here. And then now, instead of clicking on a unit goal, I'm going to go and find a unit objective. So I have one in here. So unit objective, I can just click there. Again, there's a lot of fields that you would, there's some fields that you would need to fill out. So we have the number of my objective, the actual objective, when is this gonna start, when is this gonna end, the progress that you have made so far. And this is key. This is something that we want to encourage you to fill out this year. We have two fields that they have not been used a lot, which are the improvements and the obstacles. So a lot of people have told us that they don't like entering information into Campus Labs because they feel like it. In the future, they are going to use this to punish me. Because if I say that I'm going to open a new program and if I am not able to complete that, they're gonna punish me for that. So that's why I don't want to enter any information into Campus Labs. So we want you to be, we want to tell you that wouldn't be the case. In this case, if you, for example, if you entered an objective telling that you were going to open a new program and you were not able to complete that, we just want you to go here and use this field to tell us what were the obstacles. So this is where you get to tell your story. And you tell us, okay, I was not able to open that program because I didn't have enough personnel, or I didn't have enough time, enough, whatever you are struggling with, and that made you not be able to complete that. So please make sure to fill out these fields. Just because the last year, and we are going to keep doing this, when we tried to build a rapport with the information in Campus Labs, it was not really telling us anything insightful, because there were a lot of activities that were not completed, but we didn't know why they were not completed. So it's not very helpful to anyone to say, oh yeah, 25% of the activities were not completed. So what happened? What do we need to change? So it's not helpful if we know that. Actually, if you don't give an explanation of why that didn't occur, that's worse, because that's when people, okay, you were not able to complete, so you better do that. People start telling you how to do your job, and you are the ones who know how to do your job. So just make sure to tell us what are the obstacles, because you have the best knowledge on that. So that's gonna help us to, instead of trying to create or imagine what are the reasons behind you not completing things, you're just gonna give us the real story what's behind of that. So yeah, just make sure to talk about your obstacles and also to talk about your improvements. So maybe you're doing well. Okay, I said that I was going to complete this activity and I was able to do that. So tell us about the improvements. Then we have the different action steps. So again, one of the reasons why we embedded action steps into unit objectives was because a lot of people were not including action steps, and we get that. We get that because the process was a little bit complex. And you honestly, you don't have like all the time on the world, and you don't have like, oh yeah, sure, I can play around with Campus Labs for 3-4 hours. No, we get that. So that's why we decided to move this into unit actions, so that you can have everything in one place. And now you can tell us, okay, I want to open this program, but I need to tell you what are the actions that I need to do before I can open this new online program. So do I need to develop curriculum? Do I need to look for staff? Do I need to get permission from the state? Or whatever that you need to include in there. Just make sure to fill as much as you can. And again, if you have any questions, just let us know.